Hello everyone, I am Mahfudz Dzaki, the author and presenter of this research study. This research is about supplier selection in the fashion startup, analyzing through the analytics hierarchy process. This presentation consists of 5 chapters, which include an introduction, literature review, methodology and conceptual framework, data analysis, and conclusion. Let's begin with the introduction. In Indonesia, the fashion industry annual growth is projected at 4.21%, with a volume of USD around 10,000 million by 2025. This industry expansion will be accompanied by increasing demand and heightened rivalry. The company must have a strategy for product differentiation due to the market rivalry. Effective procurement is essential for the business since it guarantees a dependable supply chain, lower expenses, and raise the caliber of the finished product. This research study aims to analyze the selection of the right supplier by calculating the various aspects to be considered in supplier selection based on the case of Beyond This company. Beyond this, a new fashion startup has decided to outsource the production process and has experienced challenges with supplier selection. Next, let's talk about the literature review that become the theoretical foundation for this research. Procurement is the process of obtaining goods and services within a supply chain. In the procurement of fashion companies, the supplier selection process is one of the stages for companies that outsource production. Supplier selection will affect the quality, quantity, and several other aspects. To overcome this, multi-criteria decision-making methods can be used for the companies to evaluate suppliers based on various criteria. Next, supplier selection is an important process in the procurement of goods for any business. The supplier selection process should consider several criteria that are related to the company needs to identify potential suppliers. Next, the analytical hierarchy process is a decision-making technique in multivariable case where criteria will be considered in priority to generate alternative selection. According to Saati, to implement analytics hierarchy process, there are several steps that can be followed. With begin, define the problem, identification of criteria, arrange criteria hierarchy, sub-criteria, and alternative options, prioritizing primary criteria, make a pairwise comparison, prioritizing of sub-criteria, introduce the pairwise comparison judgment, calculating prioritize, and then measure the priority factor to check the consistency ratio. Below is the formula that can be used in analytics hierarchy process. To help with calculation on AHP, Microsoft Excel can be used to structure the formula within the calculation steps. From the previous study, we can know several criteria in supplier selection, which is location, reliability, pricing, values, quality, safety of products, flexibility, delivery, reliability, cost, and quality of service. But it should be considered depending on the needs of the company. Next, we are on the chapter 3, Research Methodology and Conceptual Framework. In research methodology, a literature review is used to have a better understanding of several theories related to supplier selection and how the AHP can decide which is the right way to choose a supplier. And then focus group discussion will be conducted as a method of data collection to gather expert judgment according to preparation data before the AHP analysis method. The questionnaire is used to pairwise compare with the output of prioritize and evaluate each criterion. And last, the analytics hierarchy process will be used in the study with the goal of establish a comprehensive framework and analysis. Conceptual framework. To solve problems related to the quality of the products produced and the outsourcing process, they will go through the theoretical study step to understand related theories. And the result of this study will be recommendation for the best supplier based on AHP analysis. Entering the chapter 4, data analysis. Data analysis begins with defining the criteria based on expert judgment. The primary data was collected through focus group discussion, with three founders of the Beyond This company as the expert judgment. There are several criteria related to the needs of the company as the following table. First is quality, with the explanation should be focused on several sub-criteria. And then the next criteria is cost, flexibility, and communication, and also capability. With each criteria should be focused on several aspects in the column of explanation. The decision tree model for supplier selection has been established that resulted in the analytic hierarchy process model. This model consists of three levels of hierarchy that are includes the objective in level 1, criterion used in supplier selection in level 2, and the alternative that will be chosen in level 3 of hierarchy model. Criteria weight calculation. After the criteria have been collected from focus group discussion, the pairwise comparison for each criterion is fulfilled regarding the judgment from the founder of the company. After the assessment from the respondent is collected, the result is calculated using weighted geometric mean with the relative priority of 1 by 1 by 1 for each expert judgment to establish one pairwise comparison matrix that is the consensus pairwise for the entire team. The geometric mean can be calculated using a formula found in Microsoft Excel. The figure in left down corner is the result of the criteria weight calculation. And then criteria checking the consistency. According to Thomas L. Saati, the consistency ratio should be less or equal to 0.1. So if the consistency ratio is not less or equal to 0.1. Based on the result of priority factor and the principal eigenvalue can be calculated and consistency index matrix can be established to calculate the consistency ratio. After the eigenvector has been calculated, calculate each eigenvector with average calculation to get eigenvalues as the variable to calculate the consistency index. The result of the eigenvalue calculation is 5.15. And the consistency index with the formula, the result is 0.04. And we can calculate the consistency ratio with this formula, and the result is 0.03. Along with the pairwise comparison of each assessment, the expert judgment also answered the questionnaire to weigh the possible answer for each criterion. To create a pairwise comparison matrix for the weighted alternative choices based on the criterion, the evaluation from the expert judgment is collected, and the outcome is derived using a weighted geometric mean 2 with a relative priority of 1 by 1 by 1 for each expert judgment. And also the steps to calculate is same with the previous calculation for each criterion. This is the result of geometric mean, and this is the weighted calculation for each alternatives. So we can do checking the consistency. And we can know if all the alternative based on each criteria is validated and can be proceed because the consistency ratio is below or less than 0.1. And then scoring and ranking the alternative. The best supplier that can be chosen by the company in the next production outsourcing activity is Alternative EXC, which has a good rating in each of the criteria, which is priority for the company to meet production and manufacturing needs. And the second is Alternative SSM. And the last is BPA. Last is Chapter 5, Conclusion. A literature review and expert opinion were used to validate 5 criteria that were considered for supplier selection. Alternative EXG is the greatest supplier alternative to meet the needs of the company. For the company, beyond this company, replacing the current supplier with an alternative EXT is the best course of action for the company to improve performance. In order to sustain performance, companies should continually use the supplier selection process since it can rank suppliers' overall scores according to how crucial each aspect is to the business ability to meet its need. And last, the analytic hierarchy process methodology can be the right tool to solve the multi-criteria problems. Thank you very much from me, Mahfudz.